If you don't suffer from cabin fever, count yourself lucky. Because cabin fever does not care about the weather, the temperature. It just says, hey, you've been in this house for more than a day. It's time for you to go outside. And if you don't, well, there goes your mental health. So I'm going outside. Oops, there we go. I'm going outside. Yes, this shall be great. Random gloves. Stop the video. All right, first things first, I want to point out this is some serious ice I'm walking on. Like, this isn't soft snow. This is ice. That's pretty cool. I got to be careful not to slip or fall down on anything. All right, I'm just gonna put this up. Actually, put this up like this. Y'all, the ground is frozen. Like, it's, I'll leave that there. It's frozen. Let me see. Yeah, get y'all. I'm like 170, and the snow isn't crunching underground. I'm standing on top of a layer of snow and ice. Okay. Well, this is so nice. It's quiet. There's the birds. Is it melting already? Wow. Hello there. Whenever I get on YouTube, I feel like I'm talking with my parents. You know? I feel very rigid or something. That's why I like TikTok before they went and messed it up. It's like, you know, TikTok seems like a place to be honest, but you know what? One thing I'm learning, you kind of set the pace wherever you go. Wow. It's cold outside. I'm sure you know that, but it's nice. This is January. This month has been so interesting. Every New Year's, of course, at least here in America, everybody's hyped for like New Year's resolution and stuff like that. And I've since then been trying to leave that behind, that mindset, and practice, and just continue to be consistent. But as usual, I get swept up in a little bit of it. So, I could tell 2026 is going to be a great year. I can feel it. I've been felt it. But great year doesn't mean devoid of work and struggles. But yeah, I guess update for me, I started this month by running a 5K. And those who know me know I'm not really a runner, but I did it. I did it in under an hour, which is goals for me, because usually I used to run a near half an hour mile, but I cut it in half, which is great. It's funny though, since then I haven't ran, and I know half of that is because it's cold. My bottom temperature for running is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, -1 Celsius, I think. When it's colder than that, I don't like to run. 30 was the goal. um, and I did it. Man, I'm getting warm. Wow. It's getting toasty in here. Layered up well. After that, yeah, I was like, this is great. Let's keep it going. And of course, I did have some challenges, some remaining parts of my old self I'm trying to get rid of. Crops up every once in a while. We're gonna get comfortable out here. Yeah, man. But I'm learning, like, there's this verse that says, don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So I'm kind of using that mentality to apply that to my life, to say, hey, you're still a human being. You struggle with the evil natures, the flesh, if you will. But overcome that with good. Doesn't mean, it's not hypocrisy. It's the discipline and practice of becoming the new self. And I think that's pretty cool. I wonder if you all could hear me. I'm just gonna assume that you can. And if not, this will be B-roll. I think it's cool to see the person I'm becoming, even though I'm reminded of the person I once was. And we never really know when that switch over really happens. We can say, I'm no longer this person or this. I mean, we do in Christ, because, the moment you accept Christ, you're a new creation. But in your decisions and your transforming, your embracing of your new identity, no one really knows when the last time will be. We can choose it, but the proof of it. And I think sometimes I'm looking for a practical, definitive statement that says, hey, you're now new, you're now somebody different. But that's made of a culmination of commitment-based decisions and value-based decisions. And like the seasons, one day you look up and it's spring. Yeah. I started teaching this month. I remember I was talking to the Lord. I was like, I don't like reading, writing, math type of teaching. I want to talk about like anthropology, sociology, aspects of reality, stuff like that. And I got the opportunity to teach nutrition like all month long, every week. I actually have to prepare tomorrow's session today. Get it aesthetic. And I'm like, wow, that's a step in the right direction. I like this. I want to continue this where I can bring community together and teach about a variety of topics, and other people can too. I would think that would be amazing. And I had to suffer through a little bit of jealousy, because seeing other people do stuff like that, seeing people do the things I want to do, it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be like that. But the truth is, you can be, buddy. Celebrate those who walk with you, and don't let their existence be the excuse for why you choose not to bring your visions into the light. We got 2 trees right here. One tree didn't say, well, because you're a tree, I don't need to be a tree. You have the right of existence on the basis that you exist, no matter how duplicitous it may be. I use big words sometimes. Yeah. Shall I continue using big words, or should I use smaller words? I've been encouraged to speak more simply so people can understand me. I'm also someone who's like, I should challenge people to increase their vocabulary. So maybe a bit of both. What else has happened this January? Finally got a car, or my old car back, which is great. crow. There's a crow over there. But yeah, I'm glad to have mobility again. That really helps my mental health. Um, and it allows me to be a more activated version of myself. So yeah, I will say it is month 9 of unemployment. I wanted to switch schools. I used to teach high school. I wanted to switch schools and, get into my county schools. It didn't happen. Sorry, there's a bird over there. It's a vulture. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to switch schools and it didn't happen. School year started. I was like, okay, trying to talk back and forth, but nothing came to fruition. Just a bunch of floating applications. Applied to community colleges, applied to just a whole bunch of stuff. And nothing really stuck. And in the meantime, the challenge remains, hey Jaden, you have these gifts, why don't you cultivate them? Why don't you start cultivating them and let the gifts provide for you? Regardless if you think you're good enough at them, just do that. And so in the meantime, I've been doing that because I've been having this wrestle for years of I really want this pine needle to smell good, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And no matter how much I want it to smell good, it won't do that. So anyway, so yeah, use the gifts, see what God will do. And so I've been stepping into that. I know I've called by name to run, which is the ministry God has placed in my heart. Sometimes I question myself, but I think I question everything. It's something left over from my science background. And unlike the natural world, sometimes things must exist without the proof of it first, and then the existence of the said thing becomes its proof. And I think sometimes I look for proof for the right of existence. Just backwards. So, yeah, use the gifts, do the music, do the art, teach. You got a lot of knowledge, brother. People have been encouraging me, just speak, just talk, just do. And as somebody who is recovering from passive observance, yeah, that's quite the stretch, but it's good. You're supposed to stretch. Got to get this fitness together. Oh, my back. Be a good steward. Steward your house. Steward your time. Steward your money. Lord knows. Yeah, max out where you are right now so that the next becomes a demand and not a wish. Yeah, still doesn't absolve me from feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess it's corny, but I guess I should just do what I know. Anyway, what else happened in this January? So that was 1, 2, I did a couple Bible studies. I would love for you all to come out. I started writing on Substack a while ago, and it's something I seek to continue to do. It's just it's a space for me to reflect. So I was talking to somebody and I was like, I believe art exists for 2 reasons. One, to reflect, and the other to guide. And I really want to engage with that practice more. And I think writing is one of them. I have been sensing this tilt towards film, which is oh my gosh, a culmination of music, writing, and videography, which I used to do. And I might continue that. Also, on the mental, social, emotional health side, I want to get more comfortable talking about stuff. Yeah, sometimes I get just this all right, I've been here long enough, I'm ready to go type thing. But yeah, and maybe it's the topic, but I want to get more comfortable talking about my emotions, my feelings, and not even from the standpoint of like, oh, black man, you should talk about your emotions. Yes, but also human being, talk about your emotions. There's a cat. It's a big cat. Is that a cat? Yeah, it just meowed. That's a huge cat. Yeah, there's stuff I care about. There's feelings I feel. And it's funny, even in like the initial practices, because I usually try to do stuff before I talk about it. The initial practices, the feedback, especially from my counterparts, is interesting. But you don't do things for other people's responses. You do them because they're aligned to your values. And I want to become more I'm sorry, I thought about the trees exploding comment that they've been making, and I'm standing like right next to a tree and it started cracking. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I want to become more well versed in the parts of me and the feelings that I hide, because whatever you can't talk to something that doesn't have a seat at your table. You sit down to talk, you get up to whatever. But if there's not even the ability to have the conversation, then that's repression, and that's not healthy. My resolve, my cash in and desired return on investment is to fully embody the hosting posture for myself and of myself. And I used to say that, I said it in the podcast episode, but the Lord really highlighted something to me, that we're to love the Lord our God with all of our heart. And I've always struggled with that. All, how do I know if I'm giving all? I like quantifiable measures, but that's okay. All of my heart, all of my mind, all of my soul. Wait, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, mind, and strength. There we go. All my heart, all my soul, all my mind, and all my strength. Like, the word there isn't like grr. It's miod, which means all of your muchness, all of your very, all of your exudance, your abundance, the things that come out of you. And if you think about strength is the ability to do something, to work, to apply a force, to cause a change. It is the application of the will, or the application of the self. And I know in this time especially, we have the privilege of dissipation, whether that is through substances or social media or other things. And I know I've spent a lot of time dissipated. And potency was something I was looking at last year. But miod, to love God with everything that I produce, everything that I exude from the overflow of the self, hosting. Yeah, that's what I want to do. In fact, if there's nothing else that could be done or was done by the end of the year, and I just fully stepped into that, I'd be content. I'd be happy. Since when has happiness been a bad thing? Okay. One of the verses I heard this year was to stretch out your tent, from the book of Isaiah. And I think this has been a metaphorical tent for me, in terms of, hey, this is my first practice of hosting. Let me spread. Oh no, it froze. Oh no, it froze. Oh, it's ripping. Release one. yeah, it's been a metaphoric, metaf, hmm, a metaphor of a tent to say, hey, like when I put this thing down, this is Jaden's space. What does Jaden bring into the space? This is some hard ice. This isn't me reacting or responding or camouflaging or chameleoning. This is me taking center stage. And I believe, a lot of times I've felt discouraged from taking that posture because it's like, we're not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be about us, it's supposed to be about God. But I've also come to learn you have to be about God. It's not the absolving of you that makes you faithful to God. It's the you choosing to be about God. You live for God as yourself, You are you. And I think maybe we are sidestepping a decision factor to say, hey, like, yes, I can offer my life as a living sacrifice, but a living thing has decision and desire, and all of that is integrated. We're not nirvana seekers. We don't want to dissolve into the great divine. We want to be image bearers, which isn't the dissolving of substance, but the becoming even more of what God has already made us to be. Sometimes growth requires change. The trick there is that I said sometimes. It's all the time. It's all the time. But some changes we're comfortable with making. It doesn't take a thought. You change your clothes. I hope you're changing your clothes. It's the uncomfortable changes. The solution to the life, the problems of life, all such things. Yet again, I must change and grow. I'm very uncomfortable, actually. I'm very uncomfortable with the recognition or with the realization that I have to grow and change, because I'm tired of that, number one. But number two, it's costly, and that's okay. But number three, it's like, I don't know what the good looks like, And I reckon that most people don't, because we teach goodness is an absence of badness, but only badness is dependent on goodness. Goodness exists without evil, If I said that another way, if you're in debt and you pay off your debt, you're still poor. And it's not until you build net worth that you become wealthy. I say that as an example. My compassion to those who struggle, as I am also finding my own way. But yeah, in the same sense, I think a lot of us know, and by us, I'm talking about me, but in case that relates to you, let it, But a lot of us know what's wrong with us. Some of us know what's right with us. But I think not many of us know what it looks like to make the best part of ourselves the center, to the point that we forget about the fading evil, badness. If there was no problem to solve, how many of your thoughts or conversations or would keep substance? I know I have some relationships that seem to be based on being a problem solver, but where do we go? Where do we go when sin is no longer on the table? Have we learned about glory? even like our own glory of God first, of course, but our own glory, the glory he shares with us and designed us with. Like, what if just for an experiment, I and we embrace the fact that we are far more glorious than we are sinful? I mean, to be fair, the sin is temporary, the glory is eternal. I think I'm far more comfortable with fixing myself as a proof of the right to exist than to embrace the gifted glory and to head into the unknown. But just because I'm comfortable with something doesn't mean that's what you choose. The unknown glory. The unveiled glory? I don't know. What I do know is I don't want to keep going like this. Unless I'm dancing. But I don't want to keep going like this in life. And if I keep self-sabotaging as a means to maintain some sort of normalcy, then it's the cat again. Then, like, I'm not going to get to where I want to be, God wants me to be, I want to be, God wants me to be. I'm going to end up in the same spot. And I refuse. After that one New Year's, where I looked up and said, all my New Year's resolutions are the same. My goals are the same. Everything's the same. I'm not doing that again. God forbid. I've already accomplished one goal. But it's time to lift my eyes up to the next one. To the next victory. Maybe that victory starts with seeing myself differently. I was doing an internal practice, journaling, and I realized that the self identifies you by what you identify yourself with. And that is a very flexible notion to the soul. That is both a benefit and it's a warning. And I remember stepping out of who I was and watching that part of me. I don't mean out of my body. I'm talking about in the journaling, in the psychological, just bear with me. But stepping out of the identity that I am and watching that identity kind of go roguish, step to the left and make decisions out of my alignment. And I'm like, no, sir, that's not who I am. And it was in that moment I kind of snapped back into, I do have a substantial existence within myself that determines and defines who I am, what I do, etc. I like philosophy, if you haven't caught up yet. And I think it is a good practice, like, to identify the outline of yourself and then figure out what fills it. But yeah, I in that moment I said, you know what, it is a better thing for me to choose to be the honest identity that I doubt than to allow something else, whether that be part of your nature, whether that be the flesh, to occupy the seat that God gave you. Yeah, I would rather occupy the seat God gave me, even if I don't think I'm the best person for the job or for the relationship or the existence or the ministry or anyway. If God says that's my seat, I should sit. 2 verses Saul, even though you think so lowly of yourself, God made you the ruler of all of Israel. That was a rebuke because he was scared of his troops, and he thought his authority, his belonging, his right to exist as what God called him to be was based on there's people around. Was based on the people's approval. That's one. What's the other one? I gotta stay still for a second because I'll forget. Oh, there's people coming. Oh my gosh, no. The second one is, hold on, I gotta go back and get it. Hold on. 2 verses. It was I don't remember the second one. Oh, he's leaving. Maybe that's a moment. Maybe I don't need to move. Maybe I don't need to move. You know? Maybe I'm cool right here. Anyway, what was that second verse? Got it. When you go to a banquet, don't take the seat of honor for yourself, but sit in the most humble seat. That way, the host that invited you, when he sees you, moves you up to the seat of honor you belong into. Or maybe not belong, but, you know, he says, my friend, hey, this seat is not for you. It's too low for you. Let me exalt you. Whoever humbles himself will be exalted. My thing is, like, once exalted, like, how do we accept that? You know? No, Lord. Not me. I appreciate it, but I'm just this. Oh my goodness, me? No. At what point does humility become disobedience? Right? At what point does humility become disobedience? That was one of the words to stop being coy, to be who God has made me to be in full. And yeah, like, stop pretending I'm not. God has made me, and so I should be that. So anyway, I think I'm done. I was gonna like leave so that guy could run around with his dogs, because I would do that for my dog. But he left. You know, it's not that cold out here. When you know how to layer properly, it's not bad at all. Yeah. I want to talk some more.